Hey guys, so before we start, Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy Holidays. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and enjoying your time despite everything that's happening. But going forward, today we have another concept car video and we're going to take a look at the Chrysler Nassau, a full-size shooting brake that was intended to be a next-generation possibility for the Dodge Magnum and the Chrysler 300. In our last concept car video, we checked out the Chrysler Chronos, so if you haven't checked that out, make sure to check the link in the top right corner. And of course, check the channel for other concept car videos. You can find the video outline on screen, where today we are going in depth on the background info, exterior and interior, performance, future plans, and looking at why the Chrysler Nassau was cancelled. So let's get started. So there actually was an earlier Chrysler Nassau concept back in 2000, and that was meant to be a styling exercise. That original Nassau would become a working model that various Chrysler engineers and designers used to create the production Chrysler 300 sedan, and most of the details from this concept actually made it to the real 300, as they were pretty similar as you can see in the pictures. But years later, Chrysler showed off a totally different concept car with the same Nassau name at the 2007 North American International Auto Show. Chrysler called this vehicle a four-door coupe, but in reality it was a shooting brake. The term shooting brake originated in the 1890s as a wheeled transport that was pulled by horses that had enough rear cargo space to fit people and all of their equipment for hunting trips. The first automotive shooting brakes were made in the early 1900s in the UK. This is kind of interesting, so I will throw up some definitions on Wikipedia that describe a shooting brake, although none of them are universally agreed upon. Eventually the terms estate car and station wagon would become more popular, so today we don't really use the term shooting brake anywhere, and a station wagon is basically the same thing. On the exterior, this was a luxury vehicle from Chrysler that expressed a new look, combining finesse, functionality, and sleek looks. So we can call this a hardtop shooting brake. It does kind of look like a coupe, but it actually has 4 doors and seats 4 passengers. Chrysler used the LX platform from the 300, Charger, and Magnum, so the Nassau had the full-size 120-inch wheelbase and an overall length of 196.1 inches, even though it looks way smaller than it really is, with short overhangs, rounded lines, and tight contours. The front end had a similar Chrysler grille to the 300, and has sleek LED headlights and fog lights in all 4 corners of the front end. Moving on to the side, both the front and rear windows fully retract, so there's a full open space with no B-pillar in the way. The rear hatch raked sharply downwards, and the taillights were basically a mirror image of the headlights, growing wider as they wrapped around the car. Again, there were LED lights in rows of small rectangles. One clever feature is a two-tone paint job, although it's very well hidden from the eyes. The rocker panels and the front and rear fascias are finished in a star-bright silver color, while the body is done in mystic blue pearl paint. The dual vertical sunroof is also a very nice touch. Alan Barrington, who is the head exterior designer of the Nassau, talked about the shooting brake look, and that aim to attain a more compact appearance, with deliberately concise front and rear overhangs, with the body surface wrapped around the large wheels. He also said, quote, "We sought to capture the effect of a classic sculpture, an artistic approach with a shapely flowing of lines that give the impression of movement even while standing still. The line in the profile draws down and into the tail lamp, leading the eye of the observer towards the dramatic back end, which creates its unexpected shooting brake appearance." End quote. Due to being a full-size vehicle, the interior was a very spacious area and extremely well done, as are most of these Chrysler concepts. One of the first things you might notice would be the center console, which stretches the entire length of the car with satin silver trim, dividing the driver and passenger. You'll notice it's designed to look like an older mobile phone or iPod, with both front and rear joystick controls that were designed to function like a computer mouse. The center console also contains the power window switches, pop-up cup holders, and an instrument panel to operate the transmission. This was an imaginative design that was aimed to attract a younger audience during the mid-2000s. Ben Chang, the head interior designer, talked about how there was an inspiration from the design of contemporary technology, like cell phones, computers, and iPods, to try to mimic the driver interfaces so they look like your personal electronic devices. I like it, but obviously it's a design that would become outdated within just a few years. Honestly though, the interior keeps getting better the more you look at it. Beneath the wheel there were large paddle shifters, there were 4 cream-colored leather bucket seats with bamboo texture, and the same texture was also found on the doors. The two skylights are tinted blue, and they provide a beautiful view of the outside world for all the passengers. The rest of the interior was finished in deep mystic blue and cream, with chrome accents on the speakers, headliner, and pedals. In the front seat headrests, there were video screens to keep the rear passengers busy. Finally, the instrument panel shape was inspired by Constantin Brancusi's 1923 bird in space sculpture. Brancusi was an artist in Paris from the 1920s to 1940s, and he created different art pieces that were based on flight, so you can see a similar theme was used here. Ben Chang said that the instrument cluster was based on an expensive watch in order to create a visible connection with what people have and use, just like the center console. Years before the debut of the Chrysler 300 SRT8, the world got a glimpse of the 6.1-liter SRT Hemi V8 engine that was stuck under the hood of the Nassau. The power was the same as the later production version, with 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed automatic transmission. This would have been a great performing luxury vehicle, as Chrysler claimed a 0 to 60 time of 5 seconds and a top speed of 160 miles per hour. That's not bad considering this was really heavy, 4,500 pounds. The front suspension was a conventional short long arm design, while the rear was the LX style 5-link design. And just like many Chrysler concept vehicles around this time, the wheels were huge, with 22 by 8.5 inch 10-spoke rims all around, with 245mm wide tires. At one time, the future was very bright for the Nassau. This was a full-size vehicle that would have been able to sit near the top of Chrysler's lineup, if not at the top, had it made it to production. It was a unique looking vehicle and could have really been priced however Chrysler wanted, with cheaper base models and or very expensive higher end models. As we mentioned, the Nassau was a design exploration for the next generation Chrysler 300 and Dodge Magnum, and it just would have fit the bill perfectly. The car just stands out and exudes a luxurious modern presence both inside and out. At that 2007 North American International Auto Show, the head interior designer Ben Chang said that he didn't see any major obstacles for the real production car in terms of costs or materials, so it doesn't seem like there was too much holding this concept vehicle back. The only major change would have likely had to been the addition of a B-pillar for better crash safety tests. The Nassau was also meant to get some feedback from customers, as Chrysler was experimenting with new logos. On the grille there was an egg crate Chrysler logo with the winged badge in chrome and satin aluminum, and eventually Chrysler would go with a similar looking wing a few years later. So why did it get cancelled? Unfortunately, the Chrysler Nassau was introduced at the wrong time and was never fully given a chance. It was released around 2007, and as we said, meant to be used for the next generation of the Chrysler 300 and Dodge Magnum. There was also a Chrysler 300C touring wagon that was released overseas in Europe, Australia, and Latin America, so there was the possibility of maybe giving North America a Chrysler branded wagon as well. And honestly, the Nassau made a lot of sense at the time. Chrysler had so much success with the 300, and this could have just been the next version. And the Magnum was a similar wagon to the 300C Touring, but it just lacked the luxurious looks and feels, both inside and out, that was associated with the Chrysler brand at the time. But unfortunately, the Magnum was cancelled soon after in 2008, and the 300C Touring was gone after 2010. So it didn't really make sense to put out a next-gen wagon or hatchback like the Nassau. Chrysler also filed for bankruptcy on April 30th of 2009, so this also wasn't exactly a great time to start playing around with money and taking bigger risks. Chrysler ended up choosing to go with a fairly similar looking 300 sedan for the next gen in 2011, and that was the end of the Nassau. So the Nassau still does make appearances at different car shows and events and can be found at the FCA Connor Center as part of the Chrysler Historical Collection. This was a powerful and good looking car and would have fit the bill as the icon car for Chrysler, but it didn't end up fitting into the plans and was cut. Maybe you could have argued that releasing the Nassau alongside the 300 would have resulted in two vehicles that were a bit too similar to each other, but I think that it could have worked well, especially if the Nassau was tweaked a little bit to be more of an SUV or CUV type of vehicle. Anyways, it was another great concept from Chrysler that never really saw the light. So that's the end of this video, guys. What did you think of the Chrysler Nassau? Hopefully you enjoyed it, and make sure to like and subscribe for a lot more Mopar content, and let me know if you do want to see any other specific concept car videos. I'll see you guys in the next video.